Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Louise Minchin and Dan Walker.
Our headlines for you today, just in the nick of time, UK holidaymakers scramble home as Portugal turns amber.
Anyone aged 25 to 29 in England can now book to have their first COVID vaccine. NHS England says we're on the home straight.
Rules for tackling puppy smuggling and imports of dogs with cropped ears are introduced to Parliament.
Good morning. Save our store. I'm in Cumbria, where residents are raising £200,000 to take over their village shop, and ask how and why more communities are doing the same.
As English cricket investigates a second case of offensive social media posts, Prime Minister Boris Johnson agrees it was over the top to suspend bowler Ollie Robinson for racist and sexist comments he made 9 years ago.
Good morning. Today we've got some mist and fog patches to start the day here and there. Also more cloud and some patchy light rain and breezier conditions in Scotland and Northern Ireland. But for the rest of the UK, it's going to be dry, warm and sunny. I'll have all the details coming up.
Morning, it's a Tuesday, the 8th of June. Our main story for you. And new quarantine restrictions have come into force for passengers returning to England from Portugal.
The country's been moved from green to the amber list of destinations, meaning travellers must take 2 lab-approved COVID tests while they self-isolate at home for 10 days, as Richard Galpin can explain.
Just last month, Portugal was put on the green list of countries by the UK government. British holidaymakers not needing to self-isolate on their return home. Bookings surged. But last Thursday, the government announced a series of changes for many countries, including Portugal, which was put on the amber list. From this morning, holidaymakers will be required to pay for at least 2 COVID tests while quarantining on their return home. As a result, people have been scrambling to get back to the UK before the deadline, with holidaymakers queuing to book flights. Kirsty, who lives in London, says it's expensive.
It's a massive inconvenience and obviously costs everyone a lot of money to have to come home and cut the holidays short. And with such short notice, I think, as well, is the main thing. In a way, it's good that they're being cautious. But I think that people should have been given a little bit more notice than just 3-4 days to get back, because it makes it quite stressful for people to make arrangements.
The Cunningham family in Hampshire is also dismayed.
Absolute joke. The social distancing is brilliant, everything's under control, everyone's wearing masks everywhere, even on the beaches, have to wear it outside, and everyone applies by the laws.
It's an amazing country, and they're abiding by the rules much better than the English people are, and I'm English, and I'm embarrassed.
So you think the British government's got it all wrong then?
Absolutely.
I don't think they've got it all wrong. I think that was a very bad decision to change it to amber. We've just met some people who've had their flight cancelled and they've had to pay an extra £800. They've got children. It's just wrong.
The government says it's acted because there's been a near doubling of positive COVID cases in the last few weeks, and because of concerns of a mutation of the Delta coronavirus variant. Richard Galpin, BBC News.
Well, let's go right now. We can go to Tim Muffet, who's at Gatwick Airport for us this morning, where more flights from Portugal are expected to arrive later on this morning. And there really has been a sort of last-minute scramble, hasn't there, to get home, Tim?
Absolutely, yes. Ever since that announcement last Thursday that Portugal was going from green to amber, as we saw in the report, the scramble began, and some lucky people did make it back yesterday. Now, here at Gatwick, there are 2 flights due in from Portugal this morning, an EasyJet flight from Faro and a TAP Air flight from Porto. Now, those people arriving will need to quarantine for 10 days and also take 2 lab-approved COVID tests as well. Now, as we saw in the report, there is a lot of frustration here yesterday. People having to spend many hundreds, in some cases thousands of pounds for a family to get back quickly. A lot of sympathy for the Portuguese Tourist Board, which is now taking a massive hit, having thought that it was pretty much in the clear for the rest of the summer. And there's also a lot of frustration from airlines as well. The boss of BA saying that this is not justified by the science. EasyJet too say it's incredibly frustrating and it's the wrong decision. But the government insisting that this does need to be done because of the concerns over the COVID variants. Now, it's not just flights arriving here today. There'll also be flights from Portugal arriving at Manchester, Liverpool, Stansted and Heathrow as well. All those people will be forced to self-isolate, and we think the last flight to make it in just before the 4 a.m. deadline this morning arrived at Doncaster in the early hours. So those people were the last lucky few who won't have to self-isolate. Yeah, yes, it's a big day here at Gatwick, and there are going to be very many disappointed people heading off from here to self-isolate at home.
Tim Moffat, thank you.
And people aged between 25 and 29 in England will be able to book an appointment for their first coronavirus jab from this morning.
The head of NHS England, Sir Simon Stevens, has said the country is now in the home straight of the vaccine rollout. Our health correspondent Jim Reid reports.
Lines snaking around Twickenham Stadium in West London last month. At a handful of pop-up sites like this, younger age groups have already been offered vaccines. From this morning, though, all those over 25 in England will start to receive a text message asking them to formally book an appointment. The government says the goal of vaccinating all adults with a first dose by the end of next month is now in sight.
I'm sure that we've all been cheered by the images that we've seen of so many eligible young people coming forward and lining up to get the jab, showing that the enthusiasm for the jab is not just the preserve of older generations.
In England, 76.4% of adults have had a first vaccine dose. In Scotland, it's the same. In Northern Ireland, where it's just over 75%, all over 18s can already book a jab. That's also the case in Wales, where 86.5% have already received that first dose, one of the highest rates in the world.
The fact it's opened up to everyone, I think just means we can get to a state of normality quicker, and it allows bars and clubs and even libraries and universities to get back to normal sooner.
As soon as we'll be able to get it, we will all get it. So we're really looking forward to kind of just being able to do what we want to and travel a bit more.
All done.
In England, NHS leaders say the decision to extend the rollout to over 25s comes 6 months to the day after Margaret Keenan was the first person to receive a COVID vaccine outside clinical trials.
There's still a way to go, and that's why this latest opening up is so important. So for our younger adults, when you get that text message, when you get that invitation, it is really crucial that you take that offer up, book your jab, come and get it.
Even with the vaccine rollout, the government says extra vigilance is still needed. It's thought the India or Delta variant of the virus can spread at least 40% more quickly than the older Kent or Alpha strain. Of the 126 people admitted to hospital after catching it, only 3 had received 2 doses of a COVID vaccine. So the message from scientists is to turn up to that second appointment if and when you're offered it. Jim Reid, BBC News.
NHS and care staff in England are so burnt out that it's become an emergency and risks the future of the health service. MPs have been warned. A highly critical report from the Health and Social Care Committee calls for immediate action to support exhausted staff who've worked throughout the coronavirus pandemic. The Department of Health and Social Care said it was doing everything to support the well-being of staff.
The government is set to crack down on illegal puppy smuggling and ban imports of dogs with cropped ears as part of a new set of measures to ensure animal welfare. Under the Kept Animals Bill, the UK would also restrict the keeping of primates as pets, as well as becoming the first European country to ban live animal exports.
Proposals are being set out for a shake-up of Britain's electoral map. It would see parts of the North and Midlands losing parliamentary seats while areas in the South gain. The Boundary Commission for England says the aim is to make Parliament fairer by giving each MP a roughly similar number of voters. However, the total number of seats in the House of Commons will stay at 650.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.